see. But let's just get started for the time being. Yes, Michael, thank you very much. Sorry for the delay. It seems to be our Namibian internet is not so fast this morning, but I hope you hear me loud and clearly. I just want to share some thoughts this morning, which Michael has asked me to do. I had a phone call with Michael yesterday still, and it's not only net feed intake, but it's also a bit more than that. And we are going to just briefly look at what we're doing here on our farm. We are the northern part of Namibia, near Grootfontein. That's about 500 kilometers north of Windhoek. And we have got other challenges as the Wagyu have got. I don't know why my computer is not responding now, but let's see if you will do that. I suppose you see a blank screen now, Michael.
We see a blank screen, Mecki. If you can maybe just send me your presentation, and then I will. Oh, there we go. You're on there, Mecki.
I don't see anything yet, but there we are. I've tried to enlarge this, but let's. Well, that's the family here. There we are. I will just share a brief our breeding principles, and because the focus is always that it should be to the benefit of the client. That's the family in which we are here now. We are, son and daughter are back, so we are busy with this endeavor, and we will do that here. Michael, I just have to get going here. So let's just go on. There are a lot of issues which contribute to profitability. We've identified 10 here on our enterprise, of which genetics and today's genetic selection is one, and that's the one which we will focus on today. So we've got a Brahman stud, we've got a Simmentaler stud, and we run a Brahman stud in the northern part of Angola. It's all captured on breed plan and on herd master, and then we run a large commercial herd also in various parts of Namibia. It's property which we rent, and that actually keeps us very busy. While I'm struggling to go to the next slide, let me just say, let me just continue. We believe the science. I think the science is important. The science is a tool to make progress, and we intend to apply the latest technology in all respects to improve our efficiency. So when it comes to science, we select for we use basically 3 sets of data to, let me just see if I can, I don't know why it doesn't move to the next slide, Michael. But
there's usually a delay, and if you just patient and you just press page down, it'll get to. Okay.
So the focus is we run a large commercial herd. That is for us very important because that links us directly to the market, and it's nice to be a stud breeder, but we feel we must have a very basic knowledge to what's happening in the market, and that's why we run this large commercial herd. We use our own bulls in that herd. They must be focused for adaptability in these harsh environments. We don't store any cattle in kraals. We don't take calves away to improve the heat. I've said that we do apply the latest breeding technologies. Marketing is very essential for every breeder. And we always focus on what is the most profitable for the client. For us, with large areas of property which we manage, the herders are key, and we spend a lot of time with them, and because they actually run the herds and take responsibilities. And the last one is maybe not so important for the Wagyus at this stage, but it's good range and management, and that's why we use multi-sire bulls and then verify the cows with DNA verification. These are the three basic data acquisitions which we do. We run an old herd master data capture on Excel sheets, all the herds that comes up for the last 23 years. We make use of Herdmaster, which is an excellent tool for data management, and I will come around just now to say something more. And then, of course, we make use of the breed plan database via internet, and that's open to the public. So I just will refer now to those three basic data capturing and reporting issues. This is a typical Excel sheet. I've used one of which we had for another presentation. At the left-hand side, you will see the cow numbers. That's the 01 cow at the top. She is now 20 years old, and we focus structurally on 4 issues. It's the N and the U and the T. The N is for Brahmins, it's the naval score. Use the other, we choose the temperament, and then we've got the rating for ABC, which is a good cow or not a good cow. And then we put a lot of data here. We record the weights, we record a body score, we record the hip height at certain dates when we wean, and at the right hand side we've got the calf here. Now, what is a good cow? That is always the big questions. We've identified these columns here. It's the physical traits which I mentioned just now. Then the visual rating, the arranged grazing index, which is a selection index which we select on. Days to calving is a very important one for a cow herd. We still refer to the intercalf period, then the number of calves born. But it's not only that, it's the number of calves weaned, which makes a cow good or not good, and then the retention of that specific cow. So it's 5 cows from 11 or what have you, and then the total income which that cow has delivered up to that date. We've got cows with 300,000 income, but we've also got cows, old cows, which are marked red here, which are then on the way out. Then we've got a couple of comments, and then there's a final rating on the left-hand, far right-hand side here, which tells us that it's a good cow or it's a cow. Those number 4 cows, they will go out now, and we will stick with those cows which really make a big contribution to the herd. I don't want to talk about the definition of EBVs, but this is a very important concept. And with EBVs, there are basically 2 very important things which come with it. The one is the average of the breed, because you always compare yourself to the average of the breed. And the second one is the accuracy. These are the things we're looking at. At our Percentile stud, that's the data capture. Because of the birth weight for male and female, we do it, and we get a birth weight EBV, and we get a calving ease. Then we do the 200 days twice. We do the docility score. For Brahmins, we do the navel score, and then we go down We do net feed intake NFI just for bulls, and then we go down the list here, and this is all the data which we acquire. At the bottom here, we did a bit of meat quality tests, and we are busy with genotyping the whole herd, well, not the whole herd, but all the stud sires and the most influential cows have been genotyped. So the second one, that was the Excel sheet. The second one is the herd master program, which we use extensively. All animals are loaded there from the three stats: birth recordings, weight and trait scorings, the matings, carcass data, and that data is synchronized in a cloud database and is accessible for various devices on our property. I can be anywhere at a crush bin, at a cattle post. If I've got internet reception, I can look up all my data in Herdmaster also. We record all the sales and the customer details. This is very important and a very good function in Herdmaster, that you've got reference which bull did you sell when, and then of course all the other issues, DNA information, pedigree, the retention, total income, it all comes from Herdmaster. The third data capture comes from breed plan itself. I just go very quickly through this. There is a function which says download files, and there you can select all your EBVs and your selection indices, and very important, which I referred to just now, are the genetic trends. So make use of this, these download files, because that gives you a summary of what you got. Then the LRF has a breed plan test plan, which I've just copied a bit into this. We are now at version 20.1, but there's a whole range of data capture which you can do for a certain purpose to get a certain EBV. Just have a look at that also. And then of course, I think for any breeder, your vision should be to carry out your recording as your data recording as much as possible and as good as possible, and for that you get a star rating from 1 to 5. With most of our studs, we are now at 4.5. You have to reach the 5-star, which we had for some breeds, which we had for some year, but then we had a drought. We had also difficulties, but it should be the vision of every breeder to submit fully complete data. I just want to refer that this is a very good function. It is actually the LRF webpage now. In our case, we go into Namibia, we go into Brahmins, animal inquiry, and then you can have can select any bull, and you can get out this information with the pedigree and with the EBVs at the bottom. I suppose most of you are familiar with that. There are birth traits, there are growth traits, there are fertility traits, carcass trait, extra traits. If it's blue, like shown here, these are trait leaders. This is something which we also try to get at for certain traits. Then very important is this percentile table. At the top, you've got all the traits, birth, growth, etc. And on the left-hand side, you've got a ranking here from high 1 to low 1. And the 50% mark is the average of your national herd. So, for example, for Brahmins, Namibia here, in Southern Africa, if I take growth, 200-day growth, 16 kilogram is the national average. And if you are at 28 for a growth EBV, then you are in the highest 1%. This is a very important concept, and which one should really understand, because I will refer to it just now again. Before we had selection indices, this is more than 25 years ago, we selected for each trait EBV a window where we would like to be. The greener it is, the better it is where we want to be. The red, we want to stay away. So we want average calves born, good weaning, but then we don't, in our specific case, we don't chase the high growth, but we rather try to have a cow weight which is round about the middle, around about the average. That's the mature cow weight. I don't want to go into this, but I just want to refer to you. This is what we do for each trait. We try to get into those green fields here. Also for the 3 selection indices, right on the right hand side, the range and grazing index, the weaner index, and the feedlot index. That is a summary. The index, those indexes on the right hand side is a value in rand above the average, which one should aim for, and it's a function of the production environment and your marketing. So let's just carry on. This is back to the Excel sheet. We rank the visual ratings, also red and green, and we, on the more right hand side, you can see all the EBVs for each cow. And if I go into the field, I take this with me, and I can see exactly what's a good cow and where are the deficiencies. We want to stay in the green. Just repeat it here again, there. So for us, it's very important to monitor the dam herd EBVs, and that we get into a certain range of EBVs which we prefer. I just want to show you this, for example. On the left-hand side, you've got the rangeland indices of old cows. These are 01 cows and 04 cows, 2004. These are 14, 15, 16 years old cows. And then we go to the 2-year heifers, and you can see what happened with the whole herd, with the whole cow herd, with the female herd. We are shifting into the green field. These are the EBVs which we prefer. So it works. You must just be focused, and I will show you just now how it goes. Now we have selected a number of new bulls last year. This is the bull Ewan, which is 175315. The little yellow blobs here are where he is in that window which we are selecting for each trait. And you can also see right on the right hand side is the net feed intake. It is in the upper 1% of the breed. This we focus on. It could have been better in rib and rump fat. Unfortunately, with each bull, you don't get everything, and that's why we use a battery of bulls. That's another bull, the Pollux, which we've used now, also mostly in the green field. The same with an older bull, 9-year-old bull. The yellow blocks marks where he is in the field for that specific EBVs. Right, that's another bull which we use. He's one of the perfect bulls in terms of EBVs. We've used him extensively. He's a 10-year-old bull. He's still in the herd.
Mecki, I think your microphone is off.
Mecki, if you can just unmute yourself there. There's Mecki. There we go, Mecki, you're back again.
Am I back again? Okay, Michael, sorry. I don't know.
Mecki, while you're there, there's a chat function going. If people have got questions, they can put that in the chat function, and then I will ask you those questions. But you've muted yourself again, Mecki. I think there's a slight lag on your computer, Mecki. So just touch it once. There we go. You're back on again, Mecki.
I just want to touch on this tenderness issue because it's an issue which you also can select. It's not a typical issue for Brahmins, but we spent some time on this. We imported semen of in those old days on the hygienity table, and we selected semen from Brahman bulls with tender meat, and then with the BGP project, which we had now with the LRF, a lot of bulls were tested, and more than 150 or so, and we must have captured quite some genetics into our herd, because these were young animals which were slaughtered. That little red block here is the restaurant quality in terms of shear force. The green part of those 10, the first 10 bulls, 6 came out of our herd, which shows that if you start to select, you can really make a progress. It doesn't move on.
There's a slight delay there, Mecki. So just push your page down and just give it time.
Yeah. Let's see what is.
Probably time to upgrade that computer of yours as well.
Not. Yeah, something is happening now. Let's see what happens. But what I want to emphasize is that if you really get focused and select for a trait, for Wagyus, you've got different perspective. But if you're focused, you can really make progress. That's the basic message. Also with this meat tenderness issue. We have, let me just mention it while we are waiting here, that we, apart from weighing, there are a couple of breeding techniques which we use. And this is very important for large cow herds. We changed the composition of the cow herd in regular, not every breeding season, but at least every 2 years, and that is to increase the linkage within the herd. It's no use having one set of cows just with one bull day in, day out. You should mix them to increase the linkage, because then your accuracy will also increase. What we do is we change sires for every breeding season, different sires into different herds. We keep the best young bulls for replacement, our own bulls. That's the principle. The main drivers for genetic change are stud sires, not your cow herd. Your cow herd will follow what you do with your bulls. The bulls are the dominant factor to change your genetics, and Michael will tell you your last 3 bulls will have, I think, 87% of the composition of your cow herds. We do use AI artificial insemination. It is always good to have outsider bulls. With that AI process, we generate our own bulls, which we use back into the herd, but it also improves the linkage to the national herd. And what we've done now lately, also for the international genetic evaluation, which Brahmins have run once and which we are busy now again, we've used a lot of semen from the United States. And lately we have used semen from Australia just to promote those linkages to those other countries and those other herds in other continents. If we go on with breeding, the next breeding principles which we apply, then goodness, I don't know what my computer is doing in the background. But we test semen quality every year, all bulls. Semen quality to us is very important, more important than scrotal circumference. And we do track scoring for heifers. We do ultrasound carcass scanning for all animals, all males, all females at 400 days or 600 days, because we've got 2 breeding seasons. So every year we ultrasound carcass scan all those young animals. In the last 2 years, which also had outflow from the Stockman School. If we go to the Stockman School, we always take back something. 2 years ago, there was a sense-up system, and we are monitoring that for Bos Indicus now, and we are very successful in AI heifers, which we couldn't do so accurately before. And then I've mentioned the meat tenderness, and the last one is then, of course, that we do net feed intake, and I will spend some more time on net feed intake just now. This ultrasound scanning, we do it at cattle posts anyway. This is Pieter Maritz. We've been in Cernik about a month ago or 2. He's an expert in the field. We have installed a grow safe system. I'll refer to it just now. And at the right-hand side is a watering point now, where we do measure continuous weighing every second, partial weighing, while that animal is drinking water. These are the breeding techniques which we apply. Feed efficiency to us is very important. And I think especially for the Wagyus, from a completely different perspective, this is also an important trait. For us, it's about better drought management and to make more effective use of our rangelands. With both herds, we are part of the beef genomics program, which is important because it focuses on the difficult to measure traits. We've embarked on genotyping, and we've started to genotype the most influential females. And apart from feed efficiency, I think genomics is the next revolutionary phase, and we consider it very important, and that's why we want to be hands-on. So if you want to change your genetic composition of your herd, I've said you must focus on your bulls, and for us it's not only one bull, but it's a whole battery of bulls, and we've got about 20-25 bulls, and we must assess that genetic trend, because those 25 bulls will force your genetic trend to a certain direction. We do look at individual EBVs. I mentioned that just now. We do consider very much the selection indices, which is a monetary value of the value of the genetics. And we compare the averages and then of course the accuracy. We do sires and we make use of the EBV graphs, and I will show you that. This is our bull battery for January 2020. There are about 20 bulls here. You can't read what stands here, but it doesn't matter. I'll show you just now. On top are the active bulls. The bars at the bottom here are the AI bulls, and what we get is something like this here. And if we then summarize for all the bulls down here, each line is a bull with accuracy. And you can see we strive to be in the 80%, hopefully 90%. Younger bulls will not be there yet, but if you go into the 80, 90%, there is no doubt that that bull will breed that way. The blue columns are the trait leaders, and this is a nice bar graph for each trait. The middle line here is the 50% line. We want to be to the right of that line for shorter gestation length, lower birth weight, a bit better growth, and we want to be to the left just for mature cow weight. We want to have good growth and smaller cows. We want to have good milk. We want to have good fertility, the red graphs. We want to have good carcass quality, and then the docility is to the right. And then we've got net feed intake, post-wean and final. And then at the bottom, the 3 selection indices. Those 25 bulls, the average for each trait gives us this. And you will see in January, that's June 2020, the EBVs for net feed intake came out in March, and we have never selected for that because we didn't have any tool. And in November, we inserted some bulls, and we could shift the net feed intake values also to the right, and make them more efficient animals. And this is then the summary of the EBVs for 25 bulls. So we will force our herd in the next 1-2 generations into this direction. I don't want to spend too much time, but genetic trends are available from the breed plan download files. Have a look at those. We want to be little above average for 200 growth and for 400-day weight. We want to be below the national average for birth weight. The red graphs is our herd. The 600 days weight, mature cow weight, we are on the average now. The milk we've tried to push up, we've succeeded. Scrotal size above average. Days to calving is far below average for the whole herd now. The eye muscle area did go above average. Carcass weight, rib and rump fat for us under extensive environments is very important, and we are way up there in the top 1% of the herd. These are the 3 selection indices, and you can force your herd into that direction. The message is here, look at your own genetic trends. They are available from breed plan. I just want to show you some typical photos here. I like that EBV bar chart on the right-hand side because that gives you a big glance at what the EBVs are without looking into detail into the table at the bottom. That's a bull which we sold to Jan van Zyl in South Africa. Remos was a very good bull top efficiency bull in the top 1% of the national herd, although he's a 10-year-old bull. He's got EBVs now because his progeny were tested. These are some bulls which we use. This is a nice bull which we use for linkages and for AI in Namibia. Also very good bull. Michael, this is my first part. The second part is just more about net feed intake. But I will stop here for a minute or two. If there are questions, please respond.
Thanks, Mecki. Happy to take questions. I see some of our old stalwarts on here. Bob Hobson. Bob, you've been in breeding for a long time. If you've got a question, I see James. You must surely have a question. Johan de Vos, Neil van Zyl, any of you, Pieter Meyer, you can also, any of you have questions. What's nice about having Mecki on board is Mecki is never shies away from the difficult questions either. So if there are any questions from you guys, more than welcome to ask. DJ, you often ask a question, so happy to take any questions. Mecki, I think you can so long load your other presentation.
Yes. Trying to stop to share my screen and go to the other one.
I've got a feeling Mecki's internet is just dragging slightly. James, any questions from your side? I see we've lost Mecki for a small while. Hopefully, Mecki will come back on board again. I think Mecki's second part of his presentation is on net feed intake results. If we don't get Mecki on immediately, I'll just show you some of the results that and maybe I should do that. Pieter, if you can come in here and you can help me with this component. So I'll just, while we might wait for Mecki to come on, I'll just share the screen and show you some of the results that we've been getting out of the Zim-Meyer system. Pieter, if you can, Pieter Meyer, if you can come on here and just briefly give an overview of your system. When did you start? Why did you decide to put a system in place, and where are you guys located?
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. We're based in the Eastern Free State, between Lindley and Pieterstein. We have been doing performance testing on our entire herd for the past close to 15 years, and been testing bulls regularly at the ARC facilities that were available to us, either Irene or in Bloemfontein. A few years back, when my dad Thijs was first exposed to a grow safe system, we started exploring the possibility of installing a system at our own farm, and we just got to the point where we felt it would be most beneficial to us personally as stud breeders. We breed with Simbra and Brahman and Simmental cattle, to be able to test all our bulls and not just a slice of the production for a given year. So just with the upside that we've calculated on on what you can get if you test within proper proper groups. We calculated that it would be we would be able to finance the system just out of our own farm. We've got the ability to test 98 animals at a time. To far as my knowledge, there's 3 of these type of systems in South Africa. Koeskoi and Moiriva is one. We have ours in the Eastern Free State, and then the ARC has got one in Irene. But to the best of my knowledge, they are not open to public testing. I would really like to encourage all of you to speak to either ourselves or to Koos, and to really look into how you can add value. Michael, if you can maybe add one of the first slides or one of the first reports, that would help.
I'm going to do exactly that, Pieter. So let me just drag this report across. So if we start here with extract, I guess, Pieter, I don't know if can you see that on the screen, Pieter?
Yeah, we can see clearly.
Okay, so you can take us through this, Pieter.
Yeah, so there we've got the animal weights on arrival when the test started, and then weekly the weight gain that we've got of each of the animals. Now, previous tests, a normal phase D test that I'm not sure if some of the breeders may have been exposed to them. They would just measure basically feed in versus weight gained, and until we've finished the test, that's most of the information that we can actually give you. We can tell you this is what the animals ate in terms of kilograms per day, and this is the weight that they've gained. The way that a gross size system works, each of the feed bunks are placed on load cells, and they are very accurate in the way that they measure. Each animal has a unique half duplex RFID tag. Those tags are then recognized, and only one animal can eat at a time. And then also when they go and drink water, the tag gets scanned again, and in that way the animal is weighed. Michael, if you could maybe go a bit down on this. So over here you can see the fields in green are the amount of feed consumed by the animal. This is in kilograms. So you can see if we just look at the animal on row 51, on arrival he ate 33.7 kilograms, and by week 6 he's consumed a total of 986 kilograms. And there you can see in detail for each animal. Now you can see there's quite a lot of variation. If we look at the animal in row 67, he consumed a total of 676 kilograms, compared to the one that's the highest there I can see is 1.296 tons. That's in row 64, row 65, 1.387 tons. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of variation in the amount of feed that the animals consume. And Michael, if we can go to the to the right. So that is the average daily feed. It just shows you that some animals eat on average close to 20 kilos a day, where other animals in that same time period consumes 9 kilos a day. If we look at week 6 and we look at animal 65, row 65, he consumes 20.1 kilos per day. And we look at animal 67, he consumes 9.7 kilos a day. Michael, if we could go to the next one. So right there, we come to a feed conversion ratio. So what that means is it gives you a throughput of kilograms ate versus kilograms gained, meaning that if you look at animal 65, he ate on row 65, sorry, he ate 10.7 kilograms to gain 1 kilogram of mass. And if we look at the animal in row 67 versus the animal in, he only ate 6.1 kilograms for 1 kilogram of growth. Now, in any breed, the strive for efficiency, and or rather, let me put it this way: in any business, the strive for efficiency is key in order for any business to succeed and any business to grow, especially in a system where animals are put in a kraal and they are fed a ration, a mixed ration. Costs are very high, and we need to be efficient in the way that we prepare animals in order to get them sale ready, whether it is as a stud animal to breed or whether it is a carcass that you're producing. It doesn't really matter. For us in our market, we understand that because we produce beef extensively in our area, we need cows that have a low energy demand so that we can maximize our production out of them. Now, the one way is to go smaller, but I would still like to wean a proper calf and then be able to produce a carcass that the market wants, rather than just going for smaller carcasses and smaller animals and demanding that the market adapts to what I'm willing to produce. Net feed intake and or feed efficiency testing gives us this ability. It gives us the ability to test for animals that has the ability to eat less but still gain the same amount or more, and therefore be more efficient on feed. So some of the takebacks from that is you could have more animals per hectare or use less hectares per animal, per breeding animal, and or be more efficient within the feeding of or the finishing of the animals. If I could share one of my screens, Michael, I can show you a test report that we received back from GrowSafe after a test is finished. These are, let me just see how I can do this. Share screen. I don't know if you can see my screen.
We can, Pieter.
Okay. These are our own animals. On the test report, this is a test that ended on the 15th of the 7th month. There were Simbra and Brahman bulls in this, young bulls in this test. So this was a post-wean test. And as you can see, the bulls get ranked on both RFI. If you look at column I, and they get ranked on average daily gain. Now, the bull that has got the best RFI and the best average daily gain is not necessarily the best bull. In this specific test, the animal started at a start weight of 219, here's one of 184, and they ended at a weight of between 247 and the heaviest one was 404 kilos. So you can see there's quite a spread. The adjusted or the raw average daily gain for the animals was between the average was 5.68, meaning 5.68 kilos were ate for 1 kilogram of weight gain, and the animal that did the best ate 4.43 kilos, and the animal that did the worst ate 7.76 kilos. On the second sheet, we get a graph. Now, this is a bit more, a bit easier for us to read. Here, it gives us a visual representation of which animals are the type of animals according to net feed intake or residual feed intake that we want to breed with. The 4 bulls that are listed in the top right quadrant are the type of bulls according to residual feed intake that we would like to breed with. The animals that are on the left bottom quadrant are the type of animals that we do not want to breed with. Now, Wagyus obviously have a different market than most stud breeding in South Africa. Your focus is producing quality meat, as far as I understand. And if I'm wrong, please correct me. But especially in the Brahman industry in South Africa, that we see there's a difference between the bulls that people prefer in terms of visual scoring and the bulls that perform the best in terms of residual feed intake. So just for this test, the 3 bulls in the bottom left quadrant were scored visually the best out of the group. Now, this can just be for this group. But this is something that we've seen in the past as well. So the reason why I'm bringing it up is to show you that even though we always believe that our eyes are the best and that we can see the animal that will perform the best just by doing a visual inspection of the animal, this is not necessarily true. And we need accurate and proper information in order to make accurate and proper decisions for the future of our herds. Now, if you just look at the spread in terms of the animal that has the least favorable residual feed intake and the one that has the best RFI, you know, you can see there's quite a spread. And at the end of the day, it's going to make a huge difference if you just take, if we can go back to the summary, if we just take the ability for an animal to finish with close to 2 kilograms of feed, close to 3 kilograms or 3 kilograms of feed less per kilo gained, you can make the calculation yourself at a ration that's going to cost you around about 3,500 Rand a ton. You know, if you're going to be about 30% more efficient than your competitor, I believe you'll have the ability to gain more profit out of your animals and get to a point where it's easier for you to partake in the market.
Pieter, if you can stop sharing your screen here, I'll end this by just showing the results that you've actually sent us. So let me just go on here, and this is the ranking, Pieter, that you've sent us. So this is on food conversion ratio. We won't spend this meeting to talk about the difference between food conversion ratio and residual feed intake. I will use another time and forum for that. People understand food conversion ratio. It's almost inherent, isn't it? You know, amount eaten by amount gained divided by amount eaten. But this is the best ranking bull, 6.07. This was after, I think it was week 13, if I remember correctly, at your station. And this is the worst ranking bull, 17 kilogram feed for 1 kilogram gain. So there's no doubt that there are massive differences between these bulls. So this one, yeah, if we look at, and we saw the average there of about 10 for and Wagyu, we know is not, we're not breeding for efficiency. If you want efficient animals, and you go the more the European types, because they tend to be more efficient animals compared to Wagyu and Angus, which also has poor efficiency in general. But this is the spread, and as I say, you can see a 17, or that might be a bit of an outlier, but let's make it a 14 kilogram compared to a 6, 7, 8 kilogram animal. So we see massive differences in Wagyu, and I think that's why feed efficiency is so appealing, or must be appealing for Wagyu producers, is that our animals are on feed for at least a year to 2 years, compared to normal animals that are on feed for 3 months. And so you can, and we need to do those sums, Pieter, and because there is a massive cost saving on feed efficiency. We can all be chasing marbling, which is the most important trait in Wagyu, but with that needs to come feed efficiency. And maybe I can ask somebody like James or Johan de Vos, who've got test bulls, and Andries, who got test bulls now with yourself, if they could come in and comment as well. Johan, let's start with you.
Yeah, Michael, thank you very much. I think it's, if you just can unshare your screen again. Just 1 or 2 comments. I had the privilege to visit Mecki's Grow Safe system, and we've got animals in with Pieter in Lindley right now. And I believe, although the feedlots does not give credit for animals with better feed efficiency yet, that's something we as producers need to chase quite aggressively. Because I can see that more and more of us will background or feed longer before we send our animals to feedlots. So in your own process, there's a lot of money potentially to be saved. And in future, I believe the feedlots will start selecting animals. As you rightly said, we have to feed our Wagyus for a long period. So to me, it's a critical element, and over time, it's going to be more and more critical. I think it's a critical session that, and thanks, Michael, for stressing to me and to the other breeders how important feed efficiency is. And thanks to Pieter and Mecki, who's actually leading the industry with that. But I think more important, the Wagyu breeders that's sending animals to the feed test stations and is lining up. I mean, we were oversubscribed for this first session, and hopefully this is a force that will start being driven by the members. So I think it's a critical element, number 1, and number 2, thanks for setting this up, and thanks for Pieter and Mecki and what they're doing for us.
Pieter, when is your next intake?
Michael, let me just I'll put the dates on the chat if that. I'll put the dates on the chat for the next year. We've got 2 pens that run 6 weeks out of sync, meaning we can take 48 animals per pen, every 6 weeks apart, and a normal test is about 3 months. But I'll put it on the group now.
Okay, excellent.
Am I right that when will we finish the present set of tests?
The present test is finished on the 23rd. So the next intake is on the 24th.
24th of
Right,
August.
I believe there's already people like Valdo and others lining up for the next test. How much other interest have you got from the Wagyu breeders?
None that I'm aware of at the moment.
Pieter,
right,
we will
Michael,
from our side help drive it, yes.
Let's put a note out, and I know there's people who was lining up that couldn't get a space on the previous test, and let's see what we can do to fill up the next one.
That's great, Johan. We're going to finish there then. Thank you very much to all of you that attended. I can't unfortunately get Mecki back, but we'll get him back at another stage. But I think we got the gist of his talk that especially if you're in the game, in the Wagyu game, where costs are higher than normal breeding practices, the science becomes even more critical. And Pieter, you don't have to worry. We're not in the game of visually assessing animals, and that's where we base our selection decisions primarily. We're in the base of providing the best meat that we can provide, but at the most cost-effective price. And that's where the science of feed efficiency and selection for genetics comes in. So we really appreciate your contribution, and I'll convey to Mecki the other contribution as well. I see in the chat group there you put your dates up, so I'll be sending those out on our different groupings. We really appreciate that a lot. And I see Mecki's coming in here now. Let's see if we can get him on board, because he has got a small presentation. We started late, so we might end a little bit later today. And I can completely understand if you want to go off the session, because we do try and keep them short and to the time. Let me just see if we can bring him in, and if we still just give his short session as well. Okay, I think, to be honest, Mecki might be a struggle. Internet's always a struggle when we get Namibians and Zimbabweans coming in. So we'll schedule in for another session. It won't be in a long period of time. Pieter, we might do something specifically for the end of this first test, where we give results and just focus on efficiency itself. I want to thank all of you, and we'll hear from you next time. Thank you very much.
Baie dankie.